When we see these football superstars on our screens, we think we see it all. The effortless goals, the perfect passes, the million-dollar smiles. We see the final product, this flawless image. But that image, it hides the real story, a story of rejection, pain, and just impossible odds. Those are the actual words of a teenage Kevin De Bruyne, spoken to the foster family that literally abandoned him. It's just this raw, painful moment that shows you a side of the journey we almost never get to see. And that moment, it would ignite a fire that honestly still burns today. So, what is the hidden ingredient that separates the good from the truly great? It's not just talent, that's for sure. Turns out the real story is always in the struggle. And there is no better place to start than with a man whose story feels more like a Hollywood script than real life. Jamie Vardy wasn't just an underdog. By the standards of professional football, he was a complete and total nobody. I mean, just look at this contrast. It is absolutely staggering. At 20, Vardy was working in a factory, lifting heavy carbon fiber splints into scorching hot ovens, doing real damage to his back. And for fun, he was playing in the 8th tier of English football while wearing a police ankle monitor for an assault charge. Just 8 years later, he was the best player in the best league in the world. His journey was just one rejection after another. At 16, his dream club, Sheffield Wednesday, told him he was too small. That rejection pushed him out of the sport entirely. He only came back to play for a local pub team. That ankle monitor, it meant he had a 6 p.m. curfew, so for away games, he'd sometimes have to literally jump over a fence into a waiting car mid-game just to make it home in time. This wasn't some glamorous path to glory, right? This was a raw fight for survival. And honestly, nothing captures his spirit better than this quote. After scoring a goal and getting a ton of abuse from the other team's fans, he hopped on Facebook and posted this. It's raw, it's defiant, and it is pure Vardy. It's the voice of someone who had to fight for everything and absolutely refused to back down from anyone. So Vardy's fight, that was against the system. Our next story, though, is about a fight that was way, way more personal. Kevin De Bruyne, the midfield maestro we know today, wasn't forged in a factory. He was forged in the fire of personal betrayal. So at 15, De Bruyne was living with a foster family so he could attend the Genk Academy. At the end of the school year, he went home for the summer, packed his bags, and said his goodbyes, fully expecting to come back. But he never did. His parents had to break the news. The family didn't want him back. And when he asked why, when he begged to know what he did wrong, they hit him with these 6 words. It's because of who you are. They told his parents he was too quiet, too weird. He was abandoned for his personality. He gets back to the academy, heartbroken. And for the next youth match, he's on the bench. He gets put on at halftime with those words just ringing in his head. And as he later said, he just channeled all of that pain. Goal 1, they don't want you anymore. Goal 2, too quiet. Goal 3, too difficult. Goal 4, they don't want you anymore. Goal 5, because of who you are. He scored 5 goals in a single half. Within 2 months, he was in the first team. And you know what? This became the pattern of his whole life. His girlfriend had an affair with one of his international teammates. Jose Mourinho sold him from Chelsea, basically calling him a flop. And each and every time, he took that pain, that betrayal, and he turned it into fuel. He used it to become completely and totally undeniable. Okay, so Vardy and De Bruyne, their stories are all about the underdog fighting back, clawing their way up, and proving people wrong. But what about the other side of the coin? What happens when you're not an underdog at all? What happens when, from the age of 11, the entire world expects you to be the greatest ever? See, Neymar Jr.'s story is completely different. It's not about being told he wasn't good enough. It's about the suffocating pressure of being told he was destined for absolutely everything. The golden boy of Brazil, the heir to Pele's throne. Just try to imagine the weight on his shoulders. He was the hope of an entire nation of over 200 million people. He made that world record move to PSG specifically to step out from Messi's shadow and prove he was the best in the world. The expectation wasn't just to succeed, it was to become a legend. But at every single crucial moment, every time he was right there on the verge of meeting those insane expectations, fate just intervened in the most brutal way imaginable. At a home World Cup in 2014, his spine was literally fractured in a challenge. Right before key Champions League games, devastating foot injuries. It happened again, and again, and again. It was like his body just broke down under the immense weight of it all.
And so this became the narrative that followed him everywhere. The dazzlingly talented prince who was always just one step, one injury, one moment away from the throne he was supposed to inherit. A career defined not by a lack of ability, but by this tragic, unfulfilled potential.
So here we are, three different players, three completely different paths, and three very different kinds of adversity. So what's the common thread that actually ties these legends together? Well, look at it this way. Jamie Vardy faced rejection from the football system itself and responded with pure, unrelenting grit. Kevin De Bruyne faced deep, personal betrayal and channeled that anger into a surgical focus on the pitch. And Neymar, despite the insane pressure and all those crushing injuries, always came back, showing this resilient ambition to try and hit that peak again. Look, we celebrate these guys for their highlight reels, right? For their moments of absolute perfection. But their greatness was actually forged in their moments of deep imperfection. It was never about avoiding failure or pain or heartbreak. It was about how they took all of that and used it as fuel. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? We're all so captivated by raw talent, but maybe we're looking at the wrong thing. Maybe the true measure of a champion, whether it's in sports or in life, isn't the gift they were born with, but the strength they have to find when that gift, on its own, just isn't enough.